So today we're going over your assessment results from the recertification. First of all, I want to say congratulations. Everybody, the whole center did a fantastic job, and I'm very happy to see the number of threes that are on the papers because that makes our job a lot easier. We don't have near as many goals to set or things for ladies to work on, and you all did very, very well. But today we're going to focus on just a few areas that were ones or zeros. We'll talk about those areas, and then I'm going to let you ladies choose the 2 goals that you want to start with. So there may be more than 2 areas we want to work on, but we're going to start with 2. Keep it small. We'll improve those areas, and then we'll move on to something else. So to start with, your warm and responsive style, all 3s, ladies, that means you're loving on those babies, and they are loving on you. They clearly are happy to be there. You're being very reassuring. That was wonderful to see. Language facilitation, we had some 2s, but we did also have some 1s and 0s. So I'm going to talk about those and how we can improve those areas. The first one, in language facilitation, there was positive encouragement, but it rarely occurred where it was specific. So you might have said things like yay or good job, but you didn't tell them what they did well or what you were happy about. So it's really important to label the thing that they did well so that they can repeat it. A lot of times they don't remember what it was. We say yay so often, yay, yay. Well, if you hear that 10 times a day, it loses power. Just like the word no loses power if that's all they hear. Positive things do the same thing. So we want to make sure that you are telling them what specific thing it was. Good job washing your hands with soap. Maybe that's something they typically forget. They just rinse them in water. Good job coloring with the color red. I mean, it may be messy and all over the place, but we're happy that they're actually participating because it's not something they usually do. So if it's something you're excited that they did or something they did well, just make sure that you specifically label that thing. The next one, teachers primarily maintains children's interest. Examples included bears, applesauce, ketchup, slide ball, push toy, rock. Expands with applesauce, sandwich, and blue bear, but didn't really expand on the other ones. So you acknowledged their interests in what they were doing, but you didn't really expand on it or help them play with it. You might have been like, oh, nice, that's a blue bear, and then moved on about your business. Instead of really diving in, oh, that's a blue bear? You like that blue bear? Why? Do you like the color blue? I do too. So really dive in and expand on those things and build their language, because that's what this category is mainly about. So if they draw attention to something and they bring it to you, describe it. Use your 5 senses. How does it smell, taste, look, whatever you can't feel, if the bear feels bumpy, or try to expand their language in every way possible instead of just acknowledging what it is. So if they bring you a fire truck, oh, that's a red fire truck. What sound does the fire truck make? Because now we're tying it to another sense. Is it loud or is it quiet? Now we're giving them that vocabulary to build on instead of just acknowledging. So you did a really good job acknowledging, but you weren't really expanding, and that's what they want to see. Teachers communicated with children outside, but there were some periods of low engagement where you were focused on their behavior. So a lot of times that happens during assessment because we panic and we're like, oh, don't act like that. There's somebody watching me. But the assessor's not worried about it. Most of the assessors, I don't know about all of them, but the ones that I know or that I've met a few times, they've all been in the classroom. So they know how it is. When a new person comes in, those kids are going to go crazy. So don't focus as much on redirecting behaviors. We understand their behavior. It's about how you respond to that behavior. So outside, a lot of times it's that they're breaking rules. They're climbing on things. They're jumping off of things. They're throwing wood chips or dirt. There's a lot of things outside that we have to redirect. So focus on how you're redirecting that. If it is a rule that's going to hurt them or something that you reinforce all the time because it might hurt somebody else, by all means, redirect that. But you have to focus on how you redirect it. Instead of just going, no, don't do that, or stop that, remind them that it's a rule. The best way to do that, I try to form mine in questions. It brings the child back into it. They have to answer you, so they're actively listening. You can say, are we allowed to climb on that toy? Now they actively have to answer you. They don't always. They may just shrug their shoulders or whatever, but you know they're listening.
Yeah.
Then we can repeat the rule. We don't climb on the toys because always give them a reason with a consequence. And a consequence doesn't mean because you'll end up in timeout. That's not what we want. A consequence that matters to them because you could fall and get hurt. That's going to matter to them. It hurts them specifically. We could say, do we use running feet inside? Are we allowed to run inside? No, because you could fall and get hurt, then you'll be sad. Now we've tied it back to their emotions. They don't like to fall and get hurt. It's going to make us sad. Let's not do that. So the more you can tie it back to them and what's going to make sense to them at that young age. A lot of times, timeout doesn't make sense to them. They don't care. They're not processing the connection. So that's why we don't use those things. It's not that we're trying to gentle parent. It's that it genuinely doesn't make sense to a 2-year-old while they've forgotten. But if you can make it something that makes sense to them. If it's throwing blocks, a lot of times they like to throw toys. Are we allowed to throw the blocks? No. Why not? Because you could throw it and hit somebody, then they would be hurt. And do they care if somebody else gets hurt? Not necessarily, so it's not relevant to them. How could we make that rule relevant to them? What's going to happen to them?
They're not being a friend, or
you might lose a friend, or it could be then you won't be allowed to play with the blocks for the rest of the day. That's relevant. It's okay to take something away if they're mistreating someone with it or they're throwing it, they're hurting it. But we've given them that warning. This is the rule. If you break it, this is how it applies to you. So that's most of your interactions and talking with the kids outside. It sounds like you were correcting behavior. Don't focus as much on correcting the behavior. If you have to, state the rule itself and the consequence for it. Focus more on playing with them. Get involved with them. If you're doing something fun, and little Johnny over on one side of the playground is doing something you don't really like, but he sees you playing with Sally and Timmy over here and they're laughing and having fun, chances are he's going to redirect to what you're doing. If I'm playing tag with them, or I'm pushing them on a swing, or helping them slide, sing a song, make it silly, make them laugh, the ones that aren't behaving the way you want are going to gravitate to you. So by engaging more in play, we're going to correct behavior, if that makes sense. So focus less on, no, don't stop, and more on, hey, come try this with us. And you can invite them. You know what you could do? You could come slide with us. Do you want to come slide? It's going to be so much fun. And get them to that instead of the thing that's going to hurt them. Okay? Losing my pages. The last one that scored a little lower in language facilitation was expanding on children's understanding or initiation. So when a child draws attention to something, again, just like describing that fire truck, when a child wanted to play something or brought something to you, a lot of times you'd say, oh, that's nice, and then you'd go back to what you were doing instead of really stopping and paying attention to that thing and engaging in a conversation about it. So it's kind of tied to the other one. Just making sure when they do draw attention to something, even if you are in the middle of teaching a lesson and they're like, hey, because they're going to be, look at this, acknowledge it. You can say, oh, I really like that. We'll talk about that in just a minute as soon as I finish. And then make sure you come back to that. Just so that you're letting them know, I do hear you, you're heard, you're seen. We're going to work on this, but we'll come back. And then talk about it with them. If it's they're telling you that they have a pretty dress and they're spinning around showing the dress, you think, I love that dress. It is beautiful. We're going to finish the story and then we'll talk more about your dress. And at the end of that story, does everybody see her pretty pink dress? Doesn't she look so pretty today? Draw attention to it. Make them feel heard and expanding that language. Play-based interactions and guidance. We had some 2s and 3s. There were a couple of 1s. Observe teachers maintain play with beans, balls, and slide. But again, a lot of it was redirecting play with the stationary train play with everyone else. So maybe you were trying specifically to get a lesson in that you wanted the assessor to see. So you were like, no, come do this. Because you wanted the assessor to see that. But again, you were redirecting their play. A lot of times it's not about the lesson itself. The assessor is not assessing you on whether you stuck to the schedule strictly or you got every single thing on your lesson plan in. If kiddos aren't feeling it in that moment, especially if it's more than one or two. If one or two, or you're reading a book and they're over in the home center doing that, let them do that thing. You do not have to redirect them. Sometimes they just don't feel like doing that right then, and that's okay. There are ways we can engage them where they're at. If it's the whole group and you're trying to read a story and they're bouncing all over the place, we need to shelve the story. We can come back to that, and it's okay to deviate. It's okay to move on and do another activity. Maybe you want to sing a song. They really want to get their sillies out. They can't sit still right now. Let's do something active. Switch it up. If it's circle time, a lot of teachers really, really want to focus. We got to get all this in during circle time. 2-year-olds don't have an attention span for that. So if you want to learn about weather, you don't have to do it sitting on the rug in circle time. What's a good time to learn about weather?
I would say when they're like sitting down in the table.
Where does the weather happen?
Outside.
Yeah.
So you don't have to make them sit to learn a lesson. When I'm outside with them, I can talk to them individually in small groups, even if they're all over the playground. Go to this group of kiddos and say, what is the weather like today? Is it raining? And they're like, no, it's sunny. They're still learning weather, but they're doing something active that they want to do. You can do that with so many things. When you're learning colors, you want them to learn specific colors. They don't have to be sitting still to learn that. It can be when you line up, when you're walking down the hall to go to the bathroom, or when you're going outside. Play I Spy. Spy something yellow, make them find it. Let them choose things that are those colors. Now we're learning the color, but we're not sitting in a circle. So just engage them where they are and don't worry so much about redirecting. Because that's what this measure is about, is letting them kind of have more freedom without constantly, no, come back, do this, to this one activity. If it's 1 or 2 kiddos, if you're sitting down learning a lesson and most of them are sitting there, and little Johnny's over in the dramatic play center, I can engage him by asking questions. Keep reading. Let him do his thing. And I can say, did you hear that, Johnny? The big bad wolf ate Grandma. Oh no. Talk to him. Make it silly. Make everybody else have fun. Again, just like outside, he's going to want to come to what you're doing. So that's how we redirect, is by making it entertaining. Call him out. Ask him questions. A lot of times, especially with kiddos who are ADHD and things like that, like me, we are processing and we're hearing what you're doing. We just have to be doing something else at the same time. And it might be, you can bring that toy over here. If it's something they can sit in the circle with, if it's a doll or something small, let them bring it with them. Say, hey, can you bring that over here? You can still play with it. That's fine. We'll sit over here and read a book and you can play with that doll. That way we're letting them express themselves in the way they want to, but they're also learning the lesson. That was all in that one. Support for regulation. This is the one that I really wanted to hit on because there were some zeros in this one. The first one was intentional emotional activities. So, do you know what the learning standards are in early childhood? Like what types of things are we trying to teach children? It's kind of like in school, those subjects.
Like the ABCs, colors, numbers, shapes.
Okay, so those fall into certain categories or standards. That is language development. That's what we're trying to help them do. We're trying to help them develop language. We're trying to help them develop reasoning skills, like math and science that develops reasoning. We're trying to help them with physical. So just like in school, you have those electives. Everybody's got to have a physical education course. That's what our outdoors and things like that do. And then the other one is social emotional development. So what is social emotional development? What does social mean?
Like
being around people.
Around people, yep. They're
Yeah.
people skills.
Yeah.
That's what the social is. And then emotional obviously means regulating their emotions. Learning how to interact with other people and how to regulate themselves.
Like when they're sad or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's why this domain is so important. This is the support for that regulation, their emotions. So the first one again is intentional emotional activities. Why would you want to implement an intentional activity about emotions? What is that?
Probably because it shows them that it's okay to feel like certain ways.
Exactly. We're teaching those emotions. We're labeling them intentionally. We also have one that says in the moment, like spur of the moment when they have a meltdown. But a lot of times it's very hard to teach about emotions in the heat of the moment when they're having a massive meltdown. It's important that they already know what that emotion is and that they know some techniques for regulating that. So that's part of what TRS wants to see. That's some of the objectives that we want to see happening. We want to see you intentionally teaching an activity every day. Every day. And that doesn't mean it has to be a big, long, drawn out thing. It doesn't have to be something that, oh God, that's one more thing to add into my lesson plan. It can be a very quick little thing that you do to teach about emotions. Are there any times now, currently, that you do activities about emotions?
It's kind of basic, but we have this book, and it's like all the feelings and emotions, like angry, frustrated, upset. When I'm in there, I'm only in there twice a week now, but when I'm in there, I try to read it to them, and I'll like yesterday, I was like, hey, if y'all are angry, stomp your feet, and I had them stand up and they stomp their feet. Or I'm like, if you're happy, smile at me and all that kind of stuff.
So what is the objective for kids when you do that? What is it you want them to gain from it?
Probably I guess what emotions look like maybe to them maybe.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's your objective. At the end of that lesson, children will know what this emotion looks like for them.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. So what are some other activities? You have a book. Can you think of any other things that you might be able to do to help with that same thing, to help them label those emotions, or something you could do to help them regulate that? So you read a book and you say, this is what it looks like. We're stomping our feet because we're mad. What is an activity that you could do with them to show them something to do when they are mad? What's a positive way to deal with that?
Honestly, I can't really think of much.
That's okay, and I know I'm putting you on the spot. There are ways like breathing techniques, and I know those sound silly a lot of times, and we're like, we don't do it as adults. But if we teach them how to do that as a child, these are little bitty kids. These are 2-year-olds. If we're teaching them how to breathe, model it for them. Do an activity where you teach them how to blow out the candle. Take a really deep breath, blow out the candle, and we do it 5 times. And then we tell them, this is what we do when we're angry. So then later, you've intentionally taught it to them. In the spur of the moment, that child is having a meltdown, they're angry. You can call back to that.
You can remind them.
What do we do when we're angry? Can you do it? And it may take a few times. You show them, model it. Blow out the candle. If you have, did you ever play with the little pinwheels when you were a kid that you blow on and they spin? They have them the Dollar Tree. They're fantastic to have for little kids.
Okay.
It distracts them. It's a sensory thing, and it's making them breathe. Okay. So you can have one in your classroom for when a kid is having a meltdown. Big breath, blow the pinwheel. That's an activity you can do in the moment, but you can also teach it. You pre-teach that in a lesson so that when that moment happens, they already know how to deal with it. So if you were to have kiddos that they're sad, 2-year-olds get upset a lot of times. What is an activity or something you could do with them for when they're sad?
Probably maybe do a words of affirmation, because we have a mirror and it says all the words. And I guess when they're sad, we could either show them our family tree, and we can point out to their parents and let them know that they are loved and that their parents are coming back for them. Or we can be oh, look, you can choose smart. Are you smart? Show me you're smart. All that kind of stuff.
Yes,
maybe.
Fantastic. So have them sit in front of that mirror and that tree and name those words. Have them get used to what those words mean. Teach them the meaning of those words. And then, again, once you've pre-taught that lesson, in the moment, you can use those things. Having them look in a mirror, a little handheld mirror. Again, Dollar Tree, super. Tell Jennifer we need 5 mirrors. I probably have some I could give. But you have them looking at it. Show me happy. Make them show you a happy face. Show me mad. I show it to you. Show me sad. What makes you happy? Let them tell you what makes them happy.
Yeah.
Mommy makes me happy, and maybe a blanket, a pacifier, whatever it is. They tell you what makes them happy. Now you're teaching them to self-regulate. When they're sad, what makes you happy? And you bring in that thing. So maybe a picture of mom you let them walk around with for a minute. But it's really important to let children feel those emotions, but learn how to deal with them before they're feeling them. So that's where this comes in. That intentional activity is so that they know how to deal in the moment. The next one was that didn't observe when they were having big emotions. They didn't, and it may just be that nobody had a big emotion, but these are 2-year-olds. They probably did at some point. They didn't observe you in that moment, calling back to that and teaching them how to regulate it, labeling it what it is. And here's the trick. A lot of times the only ones we label are what we consider negative as a culture. We want to teach kids that no emotions are negative. They're all just feelings. But those big ones, angry, sad, frustrated, those are easy to deal with. You feel them. They're stomping their feet. You can see it on their face. But what are some generally positive emotions that we can also teach them?
Being happy.
Being happy.
Being excited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being excited about something. Some of the ones that go unnoticed, nervous. I mean, it's not really good or bad.
Being
It's just
thankful.
being thankful. Those are all things that we can still teach them about in that moment. So if your assessor's sitting there and nobody's really having any major meltdowns, well, then that means they're probably happy, right? So label happy. Show them happy. Explain why are you so happy today? You're happy because it's Friday? Me too! And then we dance because it's Friday. So make sure that you're labeling those positive ones too. A lot of times we tend to draw attention to the negative and not as much the positive, but we want to reinforce positive emotions and those happy moments. So those are the big ones. I want you to think about, give me 2 activities, one of each. Give me an activity that you can do with kiddos to help them in that standard of emotional regulation. And then we're going to talk about what is your objective, what do you want kiddos to get from it. So, what is one activity you can do with kiddos starting next week when you come back, because we're going to start monitoring this goal. What is something you want to start doing with the kiddos?
Something with them being happy.
Okay, so a happy activity. What is something, and it can be a recall to your childhood, what is something you know that teaches about being happy?
Seeing like a family picture or
So maybe you could do something with family photos. A lot of times the one I hear go to with teachers is if you're happy and you know it. They love that song. Don't make it just that song, because yes, that gets old and boring. But you can bring that in sometimes when kids are being happy. Do that, and you can change the emotion. If you're happy and you know it, if you're sad and you know it, if you're angry and you know it, you can bring that in. Do it. I want you to take ownership of that. Plan an activity next week, and it can be send out something to parents saying, "Hey, I need some family photos." I want you to plan an activity where you sit down with the kiddos and you talk about what makes them happy, and you show them their families. Okay, so what is your objective in that? What do you want kids to learn from it? When they leave your classroom, what do you want them to know?
that their parents always loved them, and
Okay, so keep that in mind as you plan that little part of your lesson. And it only has to be a short 5-10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a big thing. But always keep in mind what your objective is. What is the end goal? When this is done, I want children to know that they are loved and that this is a happy place for them to be. So that you know at the end of that lesson, how are they going to show you? What is the outcome that children can show you to understand that they got it? They understood the objective.
oh, I don't know. I went blank.
That's okay. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No, you're okay. That they have a great time coming here and then leaving here, going with parents.
Okay. So in order to show you, say, what makes you happy? And then have them talk about the picture. Tell me about the picture. Who is that? So at the end of it, they're able to label who's in the picture. And when you ask them what makes you happy, they can tell you, my mommy, my daddy, whatever it is. So always have that question at the end. You want to end that lesson with some type of open-ended question for kiddos, even 2-year-olds, so they can show you they understood it. And later, that activity can come back, because if you keep those family photos, when that kiddo has a meltdown and they're upset or they're frustrated, they're sad, what makes you happy? Do you remember what makes you happy? And we bring out that photo and we have them talk about it again. They can label mommy, they can label daddy, making sure that they can label those things that make them happy. Maybe that's the objective for your lesson, is them just being able to verbalize the things that make them happy. So that when you need it later, you have them verbalize it, and as they say it, it's reinforcing that emotion in them. Okay? So what's one activity?
Probably
you
like a
like to do?
craft.
Okay.
Where it like includes paint and like gluing stuff down. Probably something like fun like that, maybe.
Okay, so how can that support their regulation of their emotions?
Probably like me just like, I don't know, maybe like them being like happy over it and like me like asking them questions about like
So
what
what
they're
are you
doing.
having them glue or make? What if that itself, the thing, had
Maybe,
to do
yeah.
with emotions?
Probably, I don't really know.
Well, you could find the different faces, like emotional faces, happy faces, sad faces, mad faces. They could glue them on popsicle sticks. They could cover it in cotton balls. They could do all kinds of things, but have them actually look at the face and say, what color is happy? So maybe they paint the happy face, whatever color makes them happy.
And, then,
And
like,
it doesn't have
ask
to
them
be a color
questions
you
about it,
teach them. They can choose what color makes you happy. Yellow makes you happy. Purple makes you happy. They choose it. They do the face. They paint
Yeah.
it. What color is mad? Can you be a mad color? And maybe they do a sad color. So then, how can you use that activity later?
See, what's really important for me is that they know that like whatever they're feeling is like okay, because like they're not gonna get in trouble for like feeling angry or like feeling sad, because like I think one thing that like in the young teacher room I feel like I struggle with, but like we also both struggle with, is we'll have a kid that will like come up to us and crying and feeling sad, and like we want to help them, but then we have another kid over there that's like doing something terrible and like gonna hurt themselves because they're like climbing on something, and so we have to like push them to the side to avoid them getting hurt. I feel like that's
Understandable. That is definitely understandable. Twos, they get into a lot of things and they have a lot of very big emotions. That's part of why that initial teaching, doing the first thing where you intentionally teach it, it takes away from, like, it can take away time. We don't need as much time to regulate it later because we're trying to deal in the moment and they don't know how to regulate it. We've already taught how to regulate it, and now we can quickly do that. And that's where you got to partner teach. We got to say, hey, can you help grab them real quick? This one's having a meltdown.
Yeah.
And if they're all having a meltdown, maybe that's a good time to sit down and we do a big emotion lesson.
Yeah.
But your craft one, I think, is a very good idea. Tie it into emotions. Have them color the emotion, paint the emotion. What feels like happy? Give them some different textures. That's their choice. Let them decorate it however they want. You could keep those things like in a little bucket or something. You have all the happy faces, the sad, the mad, whatever. When they're feeling a certain way or they don't know how they're feeling, say, show me. Can you show me which one you're feeling? And then they can take that face out. If they can't verbalize it, they can literally pick up their happy face or their angry face or, oh, you're feeling angry. What made you angry today? And it gives us that open door. Because a lot of times they can't express. Are they frustrated? Are they nervous? Are they sad? A lot of times their emotions come out the same way. They cry when they're angry. They cry when they're sad. They cry when they're hungry. So helping them to put a label to it. And you can use that craft to do that.
Yeah.
So at the end of your lesson, what is the objective for kids? What do you want them to walk away with? What understanding?
I want them to walk away like knowing what each emotion means, and then letting them know that like whatever they're feeling, it's okay to feel
Okay,
that
so
way.
how can they demonstrate that for you?
Probably them like me like, oh hey, what is this like? What is the emotion is this? And then like they like show me like with their face or something.
They can show you with their
And
face.
then I
You
tell
can-
them like, oh, it's okay to feel angry, you know.
Yeah. And you can just call out an emotion and have them hold up the face that goes with it or whatever. A lot of that teaching them that it's okay. Talk about your emotions when you're feeling them. It's easy to get frustrated and upset in a 2-year-old class. I promise. I've been there. I've taught twos for a long time. Label that. Show them that it's okay that you feel it too. I am very frustrated right now. It is loud and I'm just tired. I need to take a minute. What do I need to do? You're right, I need to breathe. And then you show them that breathing. Or I'm going to take some deep breaths to make me feel happy again. Model it. Show them. And then they see you're feeling it too. It's not just them. You have those big emotions. So it's very important in that lesson at the end of it when you say, which face means happy. And they show you, say, I feel happy right now because I have friends. And you hug them and you can say, what face means mad? And they show you mad. Sometimes I feel mad too. And you can ask them questions. What makes you mad? They may be able to tell you, they may not. But you can name some things that make you mad. So then they're processing that. So just always keep that objective in mind. At the end, when I ask them a question, what do I want them to be able to express to me? That's your objective that you're keeping in mind. Okay? So that's your goal, is that emotional regulation. Within the next week or so, I want y'all to actually implement your activity and see how that works. And then after the big activity, try using it during those meltdowns, bringing it back around and connecting it, okay?
Okay.
So that's going to be my goal for you ladies. That was pretty much the last one. Everything else was more environment based. There were some ones and zeros. I've already talked about them with Jennifer, but just so y'all know too, the first one was culturally sensitive materials. We need a few more multicultural things in the room.
Okay.
The rule is 5. I say shoot for 7. That way, if one gets misplaced, broken, or the assessor misses it, you have plenty. The reason we want those multicultural items in there is because it's important that children experience that in their environment. A lot of times in our community, we're not always culturally diverse. We are somewhat, but there are a lot of and not just cultural, like kids with Down syndrome, children with disabilities that are special abilities. When they see them in public, how do they react to that? If it's the first time they've ever seen it, kids typically react like, oh, what? But if it's something they're used to seeing and processing, then they respond more appropriately. So it's important to have different cultures, different abilities, different genders, all kinds of things in your classroom that they see every day, so that it becomes normalized to them, okay?
Okay.
So having a few more culturally appropriate things, and then most of your materials were above kiddo eye level. Maybe bringing it down.
Okay.
Science says they're not learning from it if it's above their eye level. You've already learned all those things. You don't really need to learn that, so let's bring it down to where they are. And then real items, just making sure that those real items are in there. Again, we have a reason. It's not just all willy-nilly. We want children to learn how to use things properly. So if you have a real item in a center, it needs to be used like that real item, if that makes sense. We don't want a random spoon. Yeah, you might have a spoon and a pot in the music center, and that's great. But is that really what we're using those for? They're banging on it, making music. But that's not really how they use that. So maybe the spoon and the pot need to be in the kitchen center. And we show them how to use it. We're teaching that self-regulation, teaching them self-help skills. So that's it for you ladies. Do you have any questions? Or I know that felt like a lot. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
So I'm going to just highlight the couple of goals that we set today, which were in the social emotional category. I did, here, I'll go ahead and stop.